Well, there was somebody in the YouTube comments that hates this so much. But hey, Alyssa.
Hey, Sam.
Are you ready?
Yeah, because it's our podcast.
You can do whatever intro we want.
Yeah, hell yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so today I kind of wanted to talk about quite a few things.
I can't stop looking at your nails. Alyssa has her nails done for the first time in like actual months.
Literal months, because I was boxing and then I hurt my wrist boxing and then now the nail salon is open and I'm like, hi. It's like I just got engaged and like can't stop like using my hands, but I didn't get engaged, just so everybody knows. I wanted to talk about quite a few topics, but like surrounding the same like overarching topic, which is relationships, but from a little bit of a different standpoint that I think what people have been like asking for. I took what people were asking for,
did the opposite, ran in the opposite direction.
Yeah. And this kind of came about because I know quite a few couples and thruples and stuff like that who don't have what I guess society would consider like a traditional relationship. So they either have multiple partners, or they're married and they have a boyfriend together, or they're married and each of them have separate partners as well. And that kind of got me thinking about a conversation that I had with my dad when I was in college with him. For those of you who don't know, I did go to college with my dad. That's a story for another time. But anyway, we took psychology together, and he was asking me kind of about how I felt about marriage and stuff like that. And I was quite young at the time. I think I was still 19, and I didn't know if I ever wanted to get married.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think this probably stems from the fact that my parents are divorced. So I don't know if that's the case, but I do feel like the way that you grow up does influence somehow like how you view relationships. Wow, your eyes are beautiful. Well, you did a little color pop situation.
You know.
We're both just like getting like so distracted by each other.
It's like we haven't like put on real clothing and makeup for like so long. It's like your hair look, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I brushed it today.
Anyway, so I was talking to my dad about marriage, and I just feel like I just have so many feelings about like the traditional relationship. And obviously I'm in like what one could call a traditional relationship where we're monogamous and living together. And well, I guess living together isn't even that traditional.
It's really fucking not, bro.
And when I talk about traditional, I don't want people to get misconstrued in me thinking that that's like, that there is a right relationship. I'm talking about kind of like what society viewed as the relationship like a few decades ago, which even, back then was between like a man and wife sort of situation. And thankfully, we've made a lot of progress throughout the years on that sort of like ideal. But I haven't always been in a traditional relationship. So I guess my question to you is...
I'm like nervous.
Are you?
Hit me.
Did you always know that monogamy was for you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I don't think that I could have multiple partners, and I definitely couldn't have my partner have multiple partners. I just don't, I don't know. Like, I don't know that it even, I think when I was younger, it was like massively like an insecurity. But now at this time, it's just like, I just don't have the time. I don't have like the emotional energy to do that. Like, and I guess that I do feel like, like having watched my parents while I was growing up, they were just like really like so for each other kind of thing. And so that was what I grew up like looking at. And to me, I feel like that's what I want in a partner, like one person that you're investing everything into, as well as yourself, obviously. But interestingly enough, I was listening to this podcast there was two, actually there might have been three Indigenous women out of the States, and they were talking about how monogamy is like more of a Western idea, like, and it's not actually like, it wasn't that common like however long ago, and how they were talking about like, different people filling different needs, and that like your soul might connect with somebody intellectually in one way, and then romantically in another way to someone else kind of thing. So there's like all these people filling these different pockets, and I could see that, but I just still feel like I would have such a hard time with that. But what about you?
No, I didn't always know that monogamy was for me.
Oh, really?
No. The way that I feel about monogamy is that it's a choice.
Yeah.
Okay, these are my opinions. I'm just gonna lay that out there. I don't know that they're right or wrong, but this is like, for me, growing up in Canada as a woman. I think that decades ago, there was sort of this notion that monogamy was a necessity. right? Because gender roles were very much so in place. The woman stayed at home, she had the kids, she cooked, she cleaned, sort of thing, and then the man went out and provided. And so the two kind of needed each other at that time. The man couldn't really, have a successful like family without the woman, and the woman needed her man to provide for her. And then throughout time and after the war and stuff, it's like, okay, women are entering the workforce, and then sometime later, I mean, they did the second shift for a long time, okay? We're busting our ass both inside and outside the home. Don't think we forgot. But then sometime after, the gender roles kind of started to become a little bit more
blurred kind of thing.
Blurred, yeah. The lines became blurred, and obviously man now can stay home and go to work or raise the kids or whatever. Like, it's kind of, at least where we live, I feel like we're laying the groundwork for sort of like gender equality. I don't think that we're like necessarily there, but the footing,
not quite.
The footing is definitely like, there's some concrete there.
Yeah.
And I think that with those changes, I just don't know that the necessity to have a partner in general is there.
Yeah,
I think that's obviously also a choice, but also to have that sort of monogamy in your relationship. I don't know. So yeah, I think because I grew up in a time where this was kind of like, starting to become a thing, I was like, I can love my partner, but I also enjoy the company of other people. And I had been in relationships that weren't monogamous, and I really enjoyed not long-term relationships, but relationships where we knew that we weren't the only person for the other person.
To each other,
yeah, and it actually didn't hurt my feelings. But what's interesting is when I was in a monogamous relationship and the other person was being unfaithful,
that shit wasn't cool.
No, it did hurt my feelings, and I think that that's kind of a distinction that I made, was like, as long as I am in the know, I'm comfortable, we've kind of set these rules for what our relationship is going to look like, then I'm totally like fine with it. And I think that does, for me, change from person to person. Like, absolutely right now, like the relationship that I'm in, cold day in hell, babe. Okay. We are monogamous. Don't get it twisted. But, in my earlier years and stuff like that, I was really, really happy doing what we were doing. Yeah. And I just think that it's so interesting. And reading about polygamy and stuff like that is interesting to me as well. But more so, even like people on the internet, like Shan Booty. You don't know her? Oh my goodness, she's a fantastic.
I don't know most internet people, to be honest.
Oh, I just love her so much. But she talks a lot about, being in an open relationship and stuff like that. I don't know if she is right now, but about it being like a decision between all of you, and everyone needs to be 100% truthful about their feelings and stuff like that. And I truly believe that can work. I think that if you're being honest in your feelings, I think it'll work. But if one person is holding back or trying to
appease someone else,
make it seem like they're okay with something when they're not, that's kind of where it can get like iffy. Yeah. But I do think that it's so interesting that the only option really, like say in my grandma's time, was that's what you did. You like found a man, you got married, you had kids.
Yeah.
And now, that wouldn't even, to me, I'm like, that's so like putting me in a box.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so much more dichotomous than that. I'm like, I like to like, at this point in my life, that's kind of what I want. I want to like, settle down, eventually have a family. But when I was growing, like I was pretty freaking, I was showing all of my options.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was thinking about this the other day when we were doing the Teen Mom podcast. It's interesting how much like we like harp on this idea of like teen moms being a bad thing. But like even in our parents' generation, but definitely our grandparents' generation, they were all fucking having kids like as a teenager. Like they were getting married and having kids as a teenager and stuff like that. And it wasn't uncommon at all. So it's interesting that in such a short amount of time, that's shifted to be something that's like so frowned upon. And people are like, ooh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But I do feel like as a woman, I feel like there are like a lot of like pressures, like when we talk about gender equality and stuff like that, and sort of like the role in a relationship, so to speak. I feel like there's a lot of pressure because you're not supposed to have kids too young, but you're not supposed to have kids too old. Mm-hmm. And you're not supposed to like, it's like you have kind of all of these things that you're supposed to be and not supposed to be and whatever. And it's like you have such a short amount of time to actually be like an adult, like exploring what you like and what you want and stuff like that. So like I think that for you, you know, taking that time to explore that, I think that is positive because, you know, you're not going to go into your like future relationships feeling like, well, what if, like, you know, like kind of like questioning it. And so for me, like I feel like I never really questioned that, but if you did, then I could see why you would want to like explore that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Okay.
What if your current partner came to you and asked for an open relationship? What would you do? What would your reaction be?
I think initially I would be hurt for sure. Just because we kind of did we set out the I know what kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did we agree to that? Has he been running around?
But there's kind of like, you know, the guidelines have been set. So I think that if he had mentioned this at the beginning, we could have like talked about it. But I do believe that at this point in my life, like I want a monogamous relationship. So I'm unsure if I would be able to like comfortably, you know, and honestly be in a multiple partner relationship, in an open relationship. But yeah, I think initially I would be hurt. And then I would hope that I would ask questions to see if this is really something that is his true self or if there's something in the relationship that he's missing that maybe I could provide. Yeah, because I really don't think that there's anything wrong with coming to your partner and saying like, hey, I love you, but this is something that, you know, I feel like is missing in our relationship. And as long as it doesn't go against your belief system,
yeah,
and you're willing, you know, why not try to please your partner in that way? And I think that is where I would immediately think that it's coming from, is that there's something he's not getting from me, and is it possible for me to fill that void?
Yeah,
basically. But yeah, I don't know. I think for me it was the fact, like, when I was kind of more in like, you know, casual relationships and stuff like that, I think it was that there was just an understanding.
Yeah.
And we were both like honest and, you know, like fine with it. And I think just like you said at the beginning, like there's some people who stimulate your mind, there's some people who stimulate your body. Like it's just, there's so many different facets of us and our minds and stuff like that. And I think that it is okay, as long as, like I've said, as long as you're being open and honest about it, for having multiple people fill those like different voids in your life. But yeah, as long, you know, I think that there's like a real opportunity for people to get hurt if they're not being truthful about it.
Yeah, well, and if those boundaries weren't like set by the couple kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I think that I think I would like have a hard time staying with my partner if he like asked me for an open relationship. Like I don't think I could even, like, not only would it like hurt me and I would be like absolutely not, but also like I just don't think that I could continue to stay with that person knowing that that was like, you know, like a want or a need for them kind of thing. And when you talk about, you know, like this kind of idea of like different people filling different like things and you asking questions to a partner or whatever, I think for me, what I view like a monogamous relationship as is like growth together. Mm-hmm. And so I guess that I like the idea of long term. Obviously no one's ever going to be perfect, and like there's always going to be something that, like, you know, you are going to be more likely to talk to your friend about this thing or call this person for this thing or whatever. Like there's always going to be like those like voids and stuff like that. But I think that, you know, coming to understand what's important to your partner and then being able to grow into that together, that I would personally find more fulfilling, rather than being like, well, you don't fill that void, so I'm going to like go to somebody else for it. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it's like, I almost feel like it's like you're either like on one side or the other, because I just can't imagine swaying on it, basically. Yeah. It's like, it's so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think from like the little experience I have with kind of casual relationships, I should call them, because I've never been in a long-term open relationship, so I can't speak on behalf. But it just doesn't feel like, oh, I'm going to go and get it from someone else. It's that I love this you so much, and I don't want to lose it, but I also don't want to change you as a person, and you're okay with this, and I'm okay with this.
But in a long-term relationship, could you see that working for you the same way?
Not at this point in my life, but I really can't. I just don't know, because there's a lot of things that I thought growing up that like wouldn't work for me. Like that I would because I feel like I was pretty traditional, like as a kid, like I wanted like the white picket fence sort of like Boy Meets World situation.
Yeah.
And then I definitely deviated from that vision.
Hard left.
Hard left. Yeah. Like a freaking 90-degree, what's that angle? Right angle. Right angle turn. And so I think that it would be hard for me to say. I think that right now, no, I don't think that that would be a thing that is like being truthful to myself. But I don't know, if somebody had posed that to me when I was growing, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. How do you feel, just going back to gender roles and stuff like that, how do you feel about gender roles in a relationship? Like, do you still, for your own self, because obviously like we're all very accepting and happy with what people want to do with their own lives, but in your scenario, like, do you kind of like abide by like traditional gender roles or not really?
Girl, you know I do. Yeah, so I like...
Yeah, I'm finna be in the kitchen.
This is the thing, is like I'm so grateful that people, like women especially before me, fought so that I have the rights that I do. I don't want to make that seem any type of way. But I really do like cooking for my partner. I like doing their laundry. I like doing these sort of, like my love language is like acts of service. And to me, that's like a way that I can show my partner that I love them, like cooking them dinner and like cleaning the bathroom and like stuff like that, which is traditionally seen, I guess, as like the woman's job in traditional gender roles. But I don't want to freaking change my own tires. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take out the garbage necessarily. I don't want to do like the gross stuff. And to me, just because that was maybe like, I don't even know if taking out the garbage was traditionally a man's job, but like, do you know what I mean? Like the stuff that is like more seen as the traditional masculine jobs, just because that is the case doesn't mean that I want to do it. So I really do get pleasure out of, I guess, the traditional gender roles. And but I am absolutely thankful that I have the option. And I mean, I go to work. I'm a businesswoman.
Yeah.
And I'm a happy businesswoman. But yeah, I would say I subscribe to that a little.
Like, would you drop everything to like be like a stay-at-home mom kind of thing? Like, is that like does that look like attractive to you, or do you want to like be balanced between a few other things?
I think that if I dropped everything, I would be like a stay-at-home like mom vlogger. Like I think that I will always want to create my own financial security.
Yeah.
I started working at the age of 12. So I've always had my own money, and I've never, I had to think about that for a second. No, I've never lived off of a man's money. Like I'm always like happy to like pay for everything, or like pay my own shit, or like whatever. Like I don't really like that sort of the gender roles.
Yeah.
Like you pay for dinner today, I'll pay for dinner tomorrow sort of thing. Like it all equals out in the wash. So I can't ever imagine not having my own income source, because then that begs the question, like, okay, every time that I take the kids out for dinner, like, do I have to ask permission?
Oh,
Like, what if I want to buy another like Lush bubble bar? Do I have to ask permission? Like, I don't.
These are very specific things.
Well, because like, this is actually something that like people in my family have had to do because they were at home taking care of the kids. So it's like, that's why it's like so specific. But it's like, I don't ever want that to be my reality. I want to have my own financial freedom and security. So taking care of my kids that are not born, I don't know, because I'm sure.
So that's clear. Not engaged, don't have kids.
Yeah, because it's hard to say. Like, I think that I'll really enjoy being a mom, and I think that I'm gonna like just be so obsessed with my kids. So I think that I would love to stay at home with my kids and like raise them. Like I had babysitters and stuff like that, and it was really hard. Like just always being, not always, I love you, Mom, but like being, because she was a hardworking mom. But like it is hard, like being away from home, and like maybe the other kids are bullying you, and then somebody else is like dictating how your kid is like living their days and stuff like that.
My babysitter locked me in the basement to scare me.
Yeah, see what I mean? I would lose my shit.
I'm pretty sure my parents fired her after that.
I would hope so.
We had some fucking weird babysitters, man. Anyways, that's for another day.
So I think that I would prefer to be my like children's sole caretaker, but I would not be willing to be the only one that gets up in the middle of the night. You have to change the diapers as well. You know what I mean? Like this whole notion of like, that's your job.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it took two to tango here, baby.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to take care of the kids while you're out working, just like you know, the parents, this is like, what's that when you're like making a blanket statement?
Making a blanket statement. Generalizing?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Okay. This is generalizing, but I've heard men in relationships with kids say this often. They say, I have to babysit the kids.
I would, I'd consider castration at that point. Like, I would be so, yeah.
That is just that's not a phrase that's okay with me, because you don't babysit your own kids, okay? You're being a father.
Yeah.
To your own children.
It's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. And for me, that would be like just so disrespectful and like unloving. That's how that would land with me.
Yeah.
So that's not something that I would accept. Like, oh, I took care of the kids. It's like, exactly.
The bar's on the floor.
Yeah. Like that you're their father.
Don't trip over it.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely not in that way, but hell yeah, I'd be happy like freaking being a mom, but also making bank.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I'm all about that monogamy, but like gender roles, I just can't do her. Like, basically anything that's like a typical like gender role for women, I just am not about it, man, at all.
Like, you don't like doing Matt's laundry or like cooking or cleaning the bathroom?
No.
Okay.
No. I guess that like, and I will say like, I wouldn't say my love language is acts of service. So that's probably like a part of that as well.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I guess that I just don't, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like that. Here's the thing. I feel like based on traditional gender roles, and I'm going to be generalizing as well, I do feel like women work much, much harder when that's like what's expected of them. It's like, especially nowadays, it's like a lot of women are just working as well. And then they're also expected to be this like super mom that's like at home constantly with the kids, like always looking after them, whatever. Even if they are working, then you get home and you like watch them and you whatever kind of thing. And like the dad's just like expected to like kick his feet up. And obviously there are like plenty of great dads out there and piece of shit moms and whatever.
Yeah.
But when I think about like the idea of like pregnancy and having a family and stuff like that, it will be as down the middle as it possibly can be. Like, I don't think I don't think it's good for the kid to only be like punished by one parent and, you know, like only have fun with the other one. And like, or to not see the other parent that often and stuff like that. Like, I want it to be like, we're in this together. We're doing this together. This isn't just only my child. Yes, I birthed it from my loins because you couldn't. But I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be okay being expected to like step into that role entirely, because I do still very much like, I'm excited at the premise of like being a mom eventually and stuff and having a family. And I'm sure that like it'll be really fulfilling having children as well. But I don't picture a lifestyle. I can't picture any lifestyle for me where I'm just a mom and like I'm not pursuing work and stuff like that. And so with that in mind, it's like I just wouldn't be comfortable feeling like that part of my life was taking a back seat because like I was expected to be like the sole kind of caretaker. And like, you know, like if Matt wasn't willing to step in that way, I would be upset by that, because it's like, so why do my dreams get put on the back burner to raise our kid, but you still get to, you know, run your businesses and do whatever you want? And I don't know, man. And I agree with you about like financial
freedom,
independence. Yeah, because like I don't know. I guess that I would have a hard time with that as well. Like any kind of situation where I would have to like ask permission for something. And I think it's different where, you know, you're making like a big purchase.
Oh, of course. Like, yeah.
And you're wanting to have a discussion with your partner, but like having to ask them for like small minimal things would really bother me a lot.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it, but they said anything over 1,000 is like where you like run it by your partner sort of thing. Yeah. And I want to go back and just say like, I don't think that there's like a right version of a relationship.
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah, like I don't think that like you should be doing your husband's laundry. Like, absolutely not. That's something that makes me feel good. Like, I do it because it makes me feel good to do something for somebody. But yeah, like other people are so different. Some people like quality time and just whatever it might be. And also, I want to make it clear, I think with like being a mommy vlogger, because I feel like someone was going to say something, I don't actually think I would put my kids in the videos.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they have... They haven't consented to that.
Yeah.
So I think the kind of mommy vlogger I would be is like showing how I do things for my kids, or like how I organize, how I clean, like that kind of thing. Like
there's this one YouTuber that I watch, and she calls her kids toddler and tiny baby.
Oh.
Like she doesn't ever like say their names. She's just like my toddler or my tiny baby.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of cool because like I do feel like and this is like no shade to like anyone that like posts their kid online.
No,
that's like your prerogative, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, I feel similarly, and I think that just branching off into a different direction for a second here, I think that I would have a hard time showing my kids online and talking about, even honestly talking about the experience of like being a mom eventually. I think would be really hard for me because I would have a hard time with the unsolicited advice and criticism and stuff like that in that area. Because like it's one thing to be criticized for like my makeup or something I say on the podcast or whatever. But like being criticized for something that's like, that's my life. That's like my real life, you know? I think I would have a really, really hard time with that. And I just, again, the unsolicited advice, I really can't.
Yeah. I watched this mom, actually, this is just turning into like a
what I watch on YouTube.
Yeah. But she doesn't show her kids online either. And she's like a super, I mean, she might on Instagram and stuff like that. And I feel like pictures for me, for some reason, like resonate differently than like showing them on a video. But yeah, she doesn't show her kids online in video. And she's just like a super like organized, like innovative kind of like thinker.
Innovative. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Remember when I was really obsessed with all those like
mom.
those pantry things, and I was like telling you about the way that she does snacks? Damn, that chick is so fly. Like I could only aspire to be half the mom that she is. But I think that that's kind of like what would fulfill me. And when you were talking about like having to give up your dreams, I think that I am a person who like my dreams would be like my kids at that point. Like I'm so invested in my hypothetical children and like
they're not even here yet.
No.
And I'm willing to put it all on the line.
I am like, I'm like, okay, I want to be financially set up so that they can go into whatever sport that they might want to try. If they're musically inclined instead, we can put them into lessons, we can have it in the house, that sort of thing. Like I think that I would really, don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be exhausting. I'm not trying to say that like it's all freaking rainbows and butterflies, but I think that I would get a lot of satisfaction out of watching them like grow and like kind of turn into their own people, like Holly said, the teen mom we had on, with their own thoughts and feelings, and I can't wait. But I can wait, but I also can't wait, you know. So I think that kind of like would be my dream, and like making videos about it and stuff like that and content about it would feel like I was following my dream, because it's like my passion for my kids or kid, if I'm only able to have one, is like then intertwining with work, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that I just I don't know, and maybe I'll feel so differently because my mom's like such a like
she's a mom.
Oh yeah. Like that's like everything.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that I'll feel really similarly, but I can't see, I don't know, I just can't see that part of me like turning off. And because like I would have a hard time like doing the like mommy vlogger thing. Like that would be,
well, it's just not your personality.
No. Yeah. And like I want to have like an innovative snack system for my kids, but like I don't want to hear people's fucking opinions about it.
Yeah.
Like you should not be giving them those fruit leathers because blah blah blah. Like I would, oh my god, I just can't even fucking imagine, truly.
Yeah.
What else can I say about that?
Dude, I hate fruit leathers. P.S.
Really?
Oh my goodness, they're the worst snack. Those and the box of raisins.
Oh, I like raisins too, man.
Oh my gosh, your kids, they can come to Auntie's.
Sunmade?
No, they can come to Auntie's for the good snacks.
Like what?
Like goldfish. Clodhoppers back in the day. I'm gonna send them back home.
Are so fucking
send
good,
them back home all sugared up.
Perfect.
Okay, so talking kind of about having like financial independence and stuff like that, I'm interested to know, because you are in fact married.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Legally bound.
Yeah. By that rang. How do you feel about the sharing of assets then, like things like joint bank accounts. You've obviously bought a house together and stuff, but like
we did buy a house together, yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, this is something that I was like very I felt very like sure of this while I was growing up, that I would have like a joint bank account and that everything would be together and whatever, because again, that's how my parents did it. And so that was just what made sense to me. But actually in recent years, since I got married, changed my mind. But like in recent years, I think because I do have my own financial independence and stuff like that, it's really fucking hard to imagine just like putting everything in one pile now. And more so because I think that like, you know, when you talk about like gender roles being like more of like a necessity kind of thing back in the day, and like monogamy being more of a necessity, I think that things like that, like joint bank accounts, that was more of a necessity. But now I just don't feel like it's as common and as necessary. And so for me, like I like the idea of a joint bank account, but not every single thing going in there. Mostly because I feel like that for us, like my relationship, I feel like that would create a problem where there is none. Because, you know, like we want to be able to like save for the things that we want together and stuff like that, obviously. But I think that like if we had one joint bank account and I saw all the shit that Matt spends money on, I don't think I would be chill with it, to be quite honest. And vice versa. Like, I'm sure he'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? $300 on throw pillows? Suddenly the throw pillows would become an issue. And I'm not fucking cool with that. I want my throw pillow empire to remain untouched. I'm like, I just think I would have a really hard time. Like, I would have a hard time with his purchases, but then I would also have a hard time with him questioning my purchases.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how I view that, because I don't know, man. I just don't think, and obviously, like, again, like it is like a privilege to be able to do that, because a lot of people, it is a necessity to just be able to share finances and stuff. But what do you think about that? And I also have a follow-up question that is, what do you think about like when you split finances based on income?
Income based?
Yeah.
I got feelings. Okay, so I always knew that I would not have a joint bank account.
You're not cool with it?
No. And I think that, again, that probably stems from my parents being divorced. They got divorced like when I was like 1 or something like that. I can't remember. Well, separated, because they didn't get divorced.
And it shook you to your core.
Yeah. Anyway, long story short. Yeah, for me, same thing. I don't want to ever have to ask permission. I don't want to question if I'm going to get in trouble for spending what I do feel is like my own money. And obviously I'm not married. I don't have kids, but in a perfect world, this is kind of what I envision. And I had asked some advice from some married friends of mine. And what they did was they got a joint credit card, and then groceries, and I think anything to do with the kid. They put on the credit card, and then at the end of the month, they looked at the statement and they paid it off half and half. And to me, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know. I like that, because it's like, you have to eat. And I've always hated the whole, like, these are my groceries, those are your groceries. Like, I had a couple roommates like that were like, this is like my butter. And I'm like, oh man, like, I don't care. I'll buy the butter then. Like, this is exhausting.
Slowly you end up buying the entire like grocery list, because you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah. And I just can't imagine, like, with my partner, it's like, oh my gosh.
Do people do that with partners though?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I feel
absolutely.
like I haven't heard of that. That would be the worst.
Yeah, it's just too much for me, like, personally.
Yeah.
I just, like, I would rather us kind of, like, figure out how to split it fairly, which is also hard, because sometimes then you get into a fight and they're like, well, you're shopping for the most expensive brand, and it's like, okay, well, the other brand tastes like shit. So
it's just a fact,
maybe
babe.
You should go grocery shopping, babe. I'm not, that's not my, anyway. Yeah, so I like that idea. And I also like the idea of a joint savings account, whether that be for kids' college, for family vacations, for a home if we don't own one, for the mortgage, like whatever. Savings, not for the mortgage, maybe, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have a separate bank account that is joint, but that isn't like all of the money that each of us have. Because I also kind of think about, like, presents and shit like that. It's like, well, then do you have to go and like,
what about Christmas?
well, yeah, like what if you want to surprise your significant other and then you're going to the ATM to take out cash and then it's like, well, why did you take out $500? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I think that
you dealing drugs, babe?
I guess you could each have like your own credit cards and stuff, but I don't know. I like the idea of having, my own bank account and then separate accounts for like the household family stuff that we share.
Yeah.
And then income-based, I don't know. I think that the right answer, if there is a right answer, is to be okay with income-based. But I just don't know that I am, to be quite honest. Like, it bothers me because so often when you try to go income-based, and I do have experience with it, it doesn't lend in every aspect. Okay, so what I mean by that is like, say you say, okay, we're going to go income-based. Then say I'm the one who makes a higher income. So now I'm paying more for rent and more for the electricity and more for internet and everything like that. But then when we're going out for dinners, am I still picking up the tab for dinner? Am I still picking up the tab to go to the movies? And oftentimes I don't feel like it translates that way, because if you're going income-based, I truly feel that everything then should be income-based, including your meals and your movies. And unless it's specifically something that you're like, I'm going to treat us tonight or whatever. But I found that it quickly became very like lopsided. And so then it can create resentment, in my opinion. But I don't know. I guess like it would depend on how big the gap is and like what your relationship looks like. I think that if there's no resentment involved and you're happy doing that, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For me personally, I just don't see it being a thing, because I also am okay not doing things. Like, it doesn't bother me to not do stuff because the other person can't afford to do it, like not going on a vacation or whatever. It doesn't bother me. I'm like, okay, well, we'll wait until we can both afford it.
Yeah.
But thinking that I have to pay 1.5 times for a vacation that I'm going on just once, I don't know. It just like, maybe that's selfish of me, but I just don't like that idea.
Yeah, but it makes sense because, like, I think that, like, I agree. Like, the boundaries would have to be very, like, clearly laid out kind of thing as to what exactly is income-based, because I think that would be hard. Like, it would feel like you are having to, like, put so much more out kind of thing. And then also it's, like, you're not really getting to benefit from having, like, a higher paying job. Mm-hmm. Like, not in comparison to your partner, but, like, just in general, having a higher paying job, like, you're not able to benefit from that. And you know, put as much towards like things that you may want to do, sort of thing. And I think that it would create resentment in that, like, you know, if one of the partners went out and bought themselves like a more expensive thing, like a new laptop or whatever, I feel like the other party would be like, well, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like, I think it would be hard to not feel like, I don't know. I do think that would cause resentment, but I'm interested to know, like, if that works really well for other people. Because I see the merit in it. Like, I see why that would work. Yeah. But it seems like almost too complicated. That reminds me, though, of this one Reddit post, and I'm curious on your thoughts on this in particular. But this one person, did she have an inheritance or did she win the fucking lottery? I'm pretty sure she got an inheritance, but it was from somebody that, like, I think it was like from like a distant relative or something. Anyways, there was this couple, and this guy was posting asking if he was the asshole kind of thing, because his girlfriend got this like inheritance out of nowhere that was like a fucking fat inheritance. Like, basically she wouldn't have to work for the rest of her life. So she immediately quit her job and just like now spends like all her days like just playing video games and stuff, because she's like finally getting to relax and whatever. And then so her partner approached her and was like, well, would it be okay then if you paid for like a higher amount of rent and whatever else? I'm pretty sure that he just asked her to pay for more rent. And she was like livid about it. She was like, you're not entitled to my money, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. And I feel like in that sort of scenario, it's like, okay, so just like comparing lifestyles, I think that that's what I would have a hard time with, is like if my partner had a lifestyle of like being able to be at home, basically just like, you know, like enjoying hobbies and stuff like that because they had this like money that they were sitting on. I think I would have a hard time with that, continuing to pay 50-50 down the middle, but like I have to go out and like bust my ass for money kind of thing, and I'm struggling to pay that rent. Because that's what he was talking about as well, is that he was like, my job, like it meets our needs, but that's about it. Like, it doesn't exceed it. It's not like I have tons of spending money or anything like that. So, you know, for her, an additional like $500 being paid to rent is not going to be like that notice coming out of millions of dollars. But for him, having an additional $500, that would make like a huge difference in his lifestyle and like his ability to, you know, do things for himself and invest in hobbies as well. But what's your opinion on that?
I completely disagree.
I knew you would.
No.
Go ahead.
That's not his money. Here's the thing. I think if that woman inherited that money and was like, babe, I inherited this money and I just think like to give you a load off, like I'm going to take over some of the rent, like so that you only have to pay this much and like you can enjoy yourself a little bit more. Absolutely. That's her prerogative. Like, you know, whatever you want to do. But I really just don't think that anyone is entitled to what you have if you don't want them to be. Like that's, you know, regardless of how you got that money, if it's an inheritance or you won the lottery or whatever, that is still your money.
Yeah.
Unless it's in your marriage, because like, do you then have to split it? I don't know.
Don't know.
Hard to say. I think that you can like make up the rules in your marriage as you see fit. Correct?
I mean, yes.
I think so.
I don't know what the legal situation is. I have yet to encounter that.
Yeah. Have yet to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think that like, this is going to maybe sound some type of way, and I might be the unpopular opinion on this, but it seems to me like this guy sees that his girlfriend inherited money, wishes that he could, and then decided that she like that he was then entitled to somehow have less responsibility because she now has more money. Yes, she has more money and she gets to do whatever she wants. That was the luck of the draw, sort of thing. And I've been with partners who have a lot of money, like a lot of money, and my cell phone was shut off. Yeah. Like I couldn't pay my phone bill and stuff like that. And just personally, it was never, for me, I could never have imagined being like, you know, you make more than me and I'm barely struggling to keep my cell phone on. Like, you know, it would, $60 is nothing to you. Like, do you mind? And he would like, that's the thing, this guy that I was with that was quite well off. He would buy like $500 bottles of wine and share them with me. But like, that doesn't mean that I'm entitled to his money to pay my bills. It's like, that's a gift that he wanted to share with me, not pay my bills sort of thing.
And I think being that like you just stated basically like you wouldn't be the kind of person to do that if the roles were reversed.
No.
I think that that's probably what plays into that a lot. The one thing I will say, I don't know how I feel about it to be honest, but the one thing I will say is like I recall that they had been in a relationship for like 4 years. And so I think that that's where things would change for me a little bit, because like if I was with my partner for 4 years, like obviously like this is long term, like if we're planning to stay together long term, I feel like I would want to like do that for my partner, and I wouldn't be that upset about them asking that. But if it was like we'd been together for 6 months and I came into this money and then suddenly you wanted me to like whatever, I think I would have a harder time with it.
I'm more concerned with the fact that this woman inherited millions of dollars and hasn't decided to invest in real estate.
I mean, we don't know that for sure.
Because I think, okay, let's just play like, you know, make believe for a second. I think that maybe if I inherited millions of dollars, I would probably purchase a house in my name and then allow
you will be permitted to live here.
But that's the thing. I would just...
We will split the groceries 50-50.
But it would be my house. If I sold it, it was all my money, that sort of thing. But then you can just move in and live there, sort of thing. Like, you know, you don't have to pay rent or anything like that. Like,
I got you, babe.
We can live in this house together, but at the end of the day, it's still my money. It's still my house. I would obviously like, we would live there together, so it's our house. But if anything happened to the relationship,
then
like,
it's fucking my house.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like I don't know.
What's mine is yours, but not completely.
But I don't know if I believe in like what's mine is yours. I don't know. Like little things, yeah, but like.
But it's interesting to me because like. This is what I find so interesting, because it's not like you aren't a generous person.
Yeah, I feel like I'm quite generous.
Yeah, like you are willing to dole it out. So that's what I think is so funny about it, because you're like, it's my money and it's mine and they're not entitled to it and blah blah blah. But it's like, but I feel like you probably would be like, that's cool, babe. I got rent. Like I feel like you would do all of those things, but is it more so like the expectation?
Yes, it's absolutely the expectation. Because I would say like I definitely love giving gifts a lot, and I like taking people on vacation if I can afford to.
Balla.
Yeah, like even like up to Whistler or something like that, like treating people. But I think that the difference is like that's me wanting to. Yeah. It's like it's on my terms. I'm like, yeah, like let's do this. But when you come to me and you're like, I think I deserve for you to pay my rent, that feels different to me than me being like, I'm able to right now, I'm gonna take over rent.
Yeah.
It just feels different.
I think that if they came to me saying that they feel like entitled to and that they deserve that, I think I would take fucking some real beef with that.
Yeah.
But I think it would be I think for me, this is where I'm gonna land on this.
Okay.
After all this time, I feel like if my partner came to me and was like, you know, like, this is the situation. I'm really struggling to pay rent. You know that. You know where we were at financially before this happened. And, like, I would really appreciate if we were able to, like, split something in a different way or whatever. If you were able to take over in some, like, if it was something where, like, we were having an actual discussion about it and they were being, like, you know, mature, not just like, well, I deserve it because I'm here. Mm-hmm. I think it would be different for me because I guess that I just do feel like that. To me, I'm like that's what like a partnership is as well. Is like, you know, you stick by each other through the ebbs and the flows. And like, you know, like if I was to suddenly lose my job, I would hope that my partner would be like, it's fine.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like if I came into some like massive amount of debt and I was like really, really struggling, I would hope that my partner would do that. And vice versa. Like I would want to do that for my partner and be able to like lift them up in those moments. So I think that that's where I land on that one. But I see if they came to me being like, I deserve this, I'd be like, no, you don't. You deserve a fucking boot out the door.
Well, that's the thing. I think that says a lot about her that she didn't like want to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think that she has to, but if you love somebody, you want them to be as comfortable and have as much time with you and like all that kind of stuff as possible. And so I think that it just says maybe, I don't know, something about their relationship, something about her. Don't know her. Didn't read the post. But this is like what I'm like kind of thinking because
I like how we've built out this whole landscape for her though.
Yeah, and we don't even know her. But yeah, I think that like that would be my thing. If I won like millions of dollars, I'd be like, yeah, let's buy a house. I'll buy a house. Don't worry about it.
I will. Yeah. You'll be allowed to live there.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to say. That's where I land on that.
That's fair.
Yeah. If it's my choice, I'm good with it.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to, you know, move forward in relationships.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that was really a lot about relationships. I think it was more so about like money.
Yeah, we went down like a different path there.
Yeah, I was expecting to talk more about like open relationships, but I can't really talk more about it when I haven't really been in a long-term one, but.
Yeah. I mean, we just went where the wind blew us, you know?
And that's all we can do.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching / listening, if you're only listening or if you're watching and listening. We appreciate you.
We do.
And we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.